in the purple. This is real. This is happening. Tell us more about this move.
Yeah, no doubt one of the blockbuster trades we have seen this season. It was a high price that the Las Vegas Raiders set. Now, they didn't seem like they were set on trading Maxx Crosby. It really was, you know what, we're going to keep him, we're going to build around him, unless we get the price we want. There were two teams, to our knowledge, that really were in it to the end. One was the Dallas Cowboys, who have been serious this season about upgrading their defense specifically, willing to take a big swing, as sort of the Cowboys of old have done. They offered a first-round pick and more for Maxx Crosby. But this thing got done, Tom, when the Baltimore Ravens went from a 1 and a 2 to 2 first-round picks, locking that in. And at that point, it really became clear for the Raiders they had to do this deal. Crosby has been a good soldier in Las Vegas. He has done right by the organization through various regime changes. Once they got the value they want, they did right by Crosby, sending him to the Baltimore Ravens, who pull off a huge trade right on the eve of free agency.
And you mentioned the Cowboys being in it till the end. Our understanding is they did offer the number 12 pick as well as additional compensation in a Maxx Crosby trade, but they were not willing to go to 2 first-round picks. So once the Ravens did that, that was checkmate. That's why Maxx Crosby is now a Raven. So what do the Cowboys do? Where do they pivot to in free agency? You mentioned Jalen Phillips. It seems like tracking toward re-signing with the Eagles. The other top edge player in this market is Trey Hendrickson, a guy who is finally getting his opportunity to hit free agency after a bumpy couple of years in Cincinnati. Been a highly productive pass rusher. I would believe, Kyle, that you are going to see the Cowboys engaged on Trey Hendrickson among multiple other teams. The Buffalo Bills, who made a run at trading for Hendrickson last year, another possibility. You have Odafe Owe from the Chargers. That's another name to keep in mind here, who may get a payday as an edge rusher. Bradley Chubb, once his release becomes final, I expect to have a market. But Trey Hendrickson, one to watch, another that could fly off the board relatively quickly once that negotiating window opens up at noon Eastern time today.
I know so many fan bases who were saying, all in for Crosby, all in for Crosby. And Crosby becomes a Raven. They say, all in for Hendrickson. We got to get Hendrickson now. That is just the way this time of year works. Guys, the thing that they only do in movies where a couple is dancing and someone comes over and says, mind if I cut in? That is what we would like you guys to do today. We don't mind if you cut in, no matter what segment, what discussion. Please cut in with news. Tom, Ian, best in the business. We will see you shortly, I hope, maybe in a matter of a few seconds. In the meantime, we have a Cleveland Brown with us in our Los Angeles studio, which is great because we really respect the Browns' defense and everything they're building there. But, Shelby, you come from a different place. For the rest of us, Maxx Crosby goes to Baltimore. That's kind of cool. That's fun. Baltimore always matters. For you, in the AFC North, one of the best players in the league now enters your division. Thoughts on Maxx Crosby as a Baltimore Raven?
Well, it shows that the Ravens are at a point right now where they're trying to win. It's a Super Bowl or bust mentality. When you go get a talent like Maxx Crosby, a guy who really has been a game wrecker since you don't make this move unless your goal is to go all the way at the end of the year. And so this move right here promises that they're doing everything possible to try to get out in front of themselves and become real Super Bowl contenders. Now, the issue, though, is they still have to fix this O-line. This Maxx Crosby deal does a lot for them on the defensive side of the ball. They were towards the bottom of the league in sacks. They made a trade midseason for Draymond Jones to come, and he had one of his best seasons of his career with the Ravens. But the issue is still the O-line. But this move right here, it shows the Baltimore Ravens fan base that I'm here, we're here, and we are here to compete, and we're not going away, and we're not wasting Lamar Jackson's prime.
Look, this is a big this is a big deal at the end of the day. Like, if you're a GM in the NFL, this is a type of player where no matter what your salary cap situation looks like, no matter what your roster looks like, you pick up the phone and you call and you ask for a price. This guy is box office. And at the end of the day, the Baltimore Ravens are the ones who won the Maxx Crosby sweepstakes. You know, when I think about Baltimore Ravens, when I think about great Baltimore Ravens defenses, they always have a bona fide superstar. Whether that is Ray Lewis, whether that is Ed Reed, whether that's Terrell Suggs, Maxx Crosby fits that that mold when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, this is a guy that last year was fighting with the front office, fighting with coaches to stay on the field when they wanted him to shut it down because his body. And in an era of athletes, of guys who are always looking to protect themselves and protect their contract, protect their money, Maxx Crosby does the opposite. This guy puts his body on the line time and time again. Ton of TFLs, ton of sacks. This is a great, big step forward for the Baltimore Ravens.
Ben, you're fired me up, and it's exactly what I'm thinking. If you're Maxx Crosby, you just went to a team that's on the varsity. This is a varsity team, and the fact that the Baltimore Ravens, whether you love them, hate them, they matter. They're one of the teams that matters every single year, and they're a fascinating time right now because their head coach that's been there since I feel like I was in high school is gone. There's change, and this is one of the biggest symbols of that change. They don't normally do this type of stuff, and it's like clock's ticking on Lamar. AFC North always matters, and now Maxx Crosby matters, and I love this. I love it because Maxx Crosby, mired with the Las Vegas Raiders or whatever Raiders he's been with and whatever iterations, he's always that player who's like, wow, I wish we could get him on a good team. The Baltimore Ravens are almost always a good team. But Shelby, to your point, it's not like now do you start planning a Super Bowl parade for Baltimore, because I know you're pretty familiar with Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett had 5.5 sacks last year against Baltimore. 5.5. To your point about the offensive line. So speak again to the North. Like, you are right there in the pits with this thing. Do you look at Baltimore differently now? Or are you like, oh man, this is going to be a lot harder? Or is it just like, yeah, I'm not sweating the Ravens?
Man, I'm always sweating the Ravens. The Ravens are always that team that you have to worry about regular season, playoffs, anytime, because they have a guy in the backfield named Lamar Jackson. The guy, the man, the myth, the legend, to say the least. I'm talking about everything that he does is spectacular, and he elevates the players around him. And this is why you go make a move for a Maxx Crosby. You're setting the culture. You're setting the tone for this season. You're telling everybody around that we're not doing this anymore. We're not getting these early playoff exits. We're going for the gold. We're going for the Super Bowl. And that's exactly the message you want to send, especially right before free agency, because you're telling everybody out there, come to Baltimore if you want to win. Even in a loaded AFC North where it's pass rush galore, man, it's something special about having number 8 on your side, because that man can make something out of nothing, and I've seen it multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, I got a chance to see Maxx Crosby up close for an offseason and a training camp his rookie year, and I remember seeing some of the one-on-one reps during training camp and thinking to myself, who is this kid from Eastern Michigan? Like, Eastern Michigan? What? He's doing half fake spin moves on Colton Miller, who's a pretty good tackle in this league. And from those days on, I knew that Maxx Crosby was going to be a problem, and he has only grown and grown and grown. He's been a culture guy. He works super hard. Everyone knows about, his off-field things that he's dealt with in terms of the sobriety and what he's overcome in his life. I mean, there's not a better guy when it comes to culture and what you want in your locker room, inspiration, being able to keep guys where they need to be, keep them even-keeled mentally. Kudos to the Ravens, because this is a huge pickup for them.
Kabinda, I've heard about Crosby, especially when he came in the league, was trying to make his reputation, that he had no chill in practice, that it was to the point where it was almost like he was like a big pain in the butt, and guys that couldn't stand him because of how hard he went in practice. Over-exaggerated or true? And I wonder if that's what the Ravens can expect when he shows up.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's one of those guys you got to tell to slow down and to chill. He's one of those guys that when you have him on the defensive side of the ball and you're trying to actually get some good work for the offense, you got to tell him, like, yo, like, these offensive guys, they're not getting good reps. They're not getting good looks. It's almost unrealistic for them. Sometimes you got to sub the guy out because you're just not going to get the work that you're trying and the looks that you're trying to get from the defensive side of the ball. That's just how good and how much of a game wrecker this guy is. Problem.
See, I love this. I love sitting here listening to Kabinda, and in my ear I hear the producer say, go to Ian, go to Ian. That's what today is about. That's what this week is about. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to go to Ian. Ian, what do you got?
The Miami Dolphins, as they're actually called, have informed Tua Tagovailoa that he is being released. Now, they are officially saying goodbye to their starting quarterback. Not as